Hey everyone, I'm Tony, and welcome back to TTBurger PlayStation. When you hear the words Hot Wheels, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For me, it's sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by orange track pieces, trying to build the craziest race course my imagination could come up with. Loops that probably defy the laws of physics, jumps that no real car would ever survive, and somehow, those tiny little cars always made it to the finish line. That was the magic of Hot Wheels. It wasn't about realism. It was about imagination. So when Hot Wheels Turbo Racing released on the original PlayStation back in 1999, it sounded like a dream come true. Take everything that made the toys fun, turn it into a video game, and you've got an instant winner. Well, at least that's what I hoped, because if you've played enough licensed games, you know having a name on the box doesn't always mean you're getting a great game. Sometimes you get a hidden gem. Other times, you end up with something about as disappointing as ordering a cheeseburger, driving all the way home, opening a wrapper, and realizing they forgot the burger. At that point, you're not ordering dinner anymore, you're ordering trust issues. Thankfully, Hot Wheels Turbo Racing isn't one of those games, but does it still hold up after more than 25 years later? Or has time finally caught up with it? Today, we're going to find out. And before we begin, I should mention that this is part 1 of a 2-part Hot Wheels special, because in the next review, we'll be taking a look at Hot Wheels Extreme Racing to see whether the sequel improved on the original or drove the series in the wrong direction. So, let's fire those engines and hit the track. Let's get the story out of the way, because honestly, there isn't one. You're not trying to save the world. There's no evil villain, no dramatic plot twist, no emotional ending. You're simply racing Hot Wheels cars, unlocking more Hot Wheels cars, winning championships, and having fun. And honestly, that's exactly what I wanted. When I played with Hot Wheels as a kid, I wasn't making up complicated stories. I grabbed my favorite car, set it on the track, and yelled, "Go!" That's exactly the feeling this game captures. It wastes almost no time getting into the action, and for an arcade racer, I think that's the right decision. Sometimes, simple racing is better. Kind of like a really good cheeseburger. You don't need 20 toppings, just don't mess up the basics. Thankfully, Hot Wheels Turbo Racing understands that. Now let's talk about what really matters, the gameplay, because nobody buys an arcade racer hoping the menus are exciting. The first thing that surprised me after coming back to this game was just how quickly I started having fun again. Within only a couple of races, I stopped thinking about the controls, I stopped thinking about the camera, I stopped thinking about how old the game was. Instead, I was thinking, alright, just one more race. That's exactly what a good arcade racer should do. The controls are simple. Accelerate, brake, turn, power slide around corners. That's it. There aren't dozens of menus to learn. No complicated turning options. No spending 20 minutes adjusting settings before you even start racing. You pick a car, choose a track, and you're off. Sometimes, simple really is the best approach. Now, if you're expecting something like Gran Turismo, you're looking in the wrong garage, because Turbo Racing isn't trying to be realistic. And honestly, I'm glad it doesn't. You're driving tiny toy cars around giant orange tracks without impossible jumps, ridiculous loops, and shortcuts that seem to exist simply because somebody thought, you know what, this would be awesome, and they were right. The handling feels responsive. Most cars control well, although you'll definitely discover that some vehicles are much more enjoyable than others. There were a few cars I unlocked, used for one race, and immediately parked the car back in the garage. They handled about as well as a shopping cart with one broken wheel. Now, the real stars of the show are the tracks. This is where Stormfront absolutely nailed the Hot Wheels feeling. These aren't boring race circuits. They're giant playgrounds, huge loops, massive jumps, crazy corkscrews, construction sites, oversized bedrooms, orange track pieces stretching everywhere. Some of these tracks are so ridiculous, OSHA would have shut them down before the green flag even dropped. And honestly, that's exactly why they're fun. If you're making a Hot Wheels game, don't give me realism, give me imagination. Make me wonder how any of this is even standing, because that's what Hot Wheels has always been about. If somebody asked me to build one of these tracks in real life, I'd probably get halfway through, get hungry, go make a cheeseburger, come back an hour later, and completely forget what I was building. Loading the tracks is also incredibly satisfying. The first time through, you'll probably crash, miss shortcuts, bounce off a few walls. Trust me, I became very familiar with those walls. I think one of them started charging me rent. At the rate I kept hitting it, I probably should have been helping pay the property taxes. But once you learn each course, everything starts clicking. You know where to brake, you know where to jump, you know where the shortcuts are, and that's when the game becomes really rewarding. Now, let's talk about the AI, because these little toy cars clearly skipped driver's education. I swear, every race starts with the computer saying, "Alright everyone, Tony's in first place. Go ruin his day. 1 second, you're comfortably leading. The next, somebody uses your rear bumper as their personal brake pedal. Suddenly, you're facing the wrong direction, watching everybody drive past you. Apparently, sportsmanship wasn't included in the instruction manual. I got hit so hard during one race, I'm pretty sure my cheeseburger needed a seatbelt. Then there's the collision detection. Most of the time, it's perfectly fine, but every once in a while, you'll barely brush a wall, and suddenly you lose so much speed. You'd think maybe somebody secretly swapped your engine for a lawnmower, or maybe somebody filled the gas tank with ketchup. Either way, it's frustrating. Thankfully, those moments don't happen often enough to ruin the experience. Then there's the progression. Winning championships unlocks additional Hot Wheels cars. Now, I've always liked games that reward you for actually playing. Every new car gave me another reason to keep racing, another reason to try one more championship. It's kind of like ordering a cheeseburger, then the cashier says, "Oh, by the way, your fries are free today." Was I already happy? Absolutely. Did you somehow make my day even better? Also, yes. By the time I finished playing, I realized something. I wasn't racing because I had to, I was racing because I genuinely wanted one more race. And honestly, that's probably the biggest compliment I can give Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. It isn't trying to reinvent arcade racing, it's simply trying to be fun. And after all these years, I'd say it still succeeds. Now, let's talk about the graphics. For a PlayStation game released back in 1999, I think Turbo Racing still has plenty of charm. The developers understood exactly what they were making. These aren't realistic race cars, they're Hot Wheels. So instead of chasing realism, they embraced imagination. Bright colors, huge orange tracks, ridiculous loops, impossible jumps, oversized environments, and everything looks like somebody dumped a giant box of Hot Wheels onto the living room floor and said, "Let's race!" The cars themselves are also nicely detailed. If you collected Hot Wheels growing up, you'll probably recognize quite a few of them. That adds a nice nostalgic touch. Now, obviously, this is still a PlayStation game. You're going to see blurry textures, jagged polygons, some poppin', an occasional frame rate hiccup. But honestly, I expected all of that. Those technical limitations don't bother me nearly as much, because the art direction still works. Stormfront focused on making the game feel like Hot Wheels, instead of trying to make it look realistic. And I think that was absolutely the right direction. Now let's talk about the soundtrack, because honestly, this surprised me. Back in the late 90s, licensed music was becoming a huge part of racing games, and Turbo Racing has a surprisingly good soundtrack. You have artists like Primus, the Reverend Horton Heat, Meat Beat Manifesto, Mixmaster Mike, Link Ray, and Alex Skolnick. It's a really fun mix of rock, alternative, and electronic music. The moment the race begins, the soundtrack immediately gets your adrenaline going. You're flying through loops, trying not to crash, dodging aggressive AI, and the music fits perfectly. Honestly, if somebody played this game while I was grilling cheeseburgers, I'd probably flip one right into the neighbor's yard. The sound effects are solid too. The engines sound good. The crashes have impact. Everything feels exactly like it should. My only complaint, I wish there were more songs, because once you heard the same track several times, you'll definitely start wanting more variety. Now that we covered everything about Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, it's time now to go to our TTBurger the goods and the not so goods to give this game a score. For the TTBurger the goods, fast, fun, arcade gameplay, creative Hot Wheels track design, great sense of speed, excellent licensed soundtrack, plenty of unlockable vehicles, easy to pick up, hard to put down, captures the feeling of playing with Hot Wheels as a kid. For the TTBurger the not so goods, aggressive AI, collision detection can be frustrating. Some cars handle much better than others. Limited game modes. I wish there were more licensed songs. The PlayStation hardware definitely shows its age. You know, after playing Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, I walked away smiling, and honestly, that's probably the best compliment I can give it. This game reminded me why I loved Hot Wheels growing up. It's simple, it's colorful, it's easy to pick up, and most importantly, it's fun. No, it isn't one of the greatest racing games ever made, but I don't think it ever wanted to be. Its job was to make me feel like a kid, racing Hot Wheels across the living room floor, and honestly, it succeeds. Think of it like your favorite local burger place. It isn't trying to be a 5-star restaurant. It isn't trying to reinvent the cheeseburger. It simply makes a really good burger, and sometimes that's exactly what you're in the mood for. That's Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. Simple, fun, and worth playing today. After everything I have talked about today, I'm giving Hot Wheels Turbo Racing 7.5 out of 10. It's a fun arcade racer that understands exactly what made the Hot Wheels toys so special. While it doesn't quite compete with the very best race games on the PlayStation, it's still an easy recommendation for fans of arcade racers and anyone looking for another hidden gem on Sony's first console. Well, that wraps up today's review, but we're not finished with Hot Wheels just yet, because next time, we'll be taking a look at Hot Wheels Extreme Racing, a sequel that tried to change almost everything. But did those changes actually improve the series, or did Turbo Racing remain the better game? We'll find out next time. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let me know down in the comments, did you grow up playing Hot Wheels Turbo Racing? I'd love to hear your memories. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tony from TTBurger PlayStation, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. And remember, keep your Hot Wheels on the track, keep your cheeseburgers on the plate, because mustard is terrible for tire grip. I'll see you next time.